Hey everybody, Vince Gilligan here, and I was lucky enough to get to direct this episode. This is episode 608, entitled Point and Shoot.
I'm Peter Gould. I'm co-creator and executive producer, and I get to watch this episode.
I'm Chris McCaleb. I edited this episode. Also lucky.
My name is Gordon Smith, and I wrote this one.
I'm Jenn Carroll, and I'm one of the producers.
Yay!
Yay!
So here we are in the desert in Albuquerque.
Wait, is this an oasis?
This is a tremendous amount of VFX went into this, as you can tell.
Now, is this the last thing that was shot for the series?
This day was the last day. Yeah, right? This
Yes.
was the
And the only thing we didn't shoot in Albuquerque.
The only thing for
Or in New Mexico, I should say.
the only thing for 63 episodes of TV show that was not right. Is that correct?
Of Saul, yeah.
Of Saul.
I think so.
Yeah. You know, for El Camino, we certainly went, we traveled to the Jackson Hole area, and even we did Four Corners for Breaking Bad, but...
That's right.
Yeah.
And Breaking Bad, we also went to New York and shot the Charlie Rose show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but for Saul,
And there was one or two shots we literally got on Breaking Bad. We literally got in my side yard in no, seriously,
I believe
with a little consumer video camera.
Well,
that was in the early days.
If we're going
in Los
to
Angeles.
count, if we're going to count that, which we probably shouldn't, there were also shots from my backyard in episode 6. That Chris and Joanna and I shot.
I don't know if we're allowed to talk.
like
I don't
the
think we're
unions
allowed
are
to
gonna
say
love
any of
listening to
that.
this.
Maybe we should get some...
But this was.
But I agree. It was awesome.
This was out past Malibu. This
Yes.
was Leo Carrillo Beach, which
Yes.
has been the host of a great many TV shows and movies over the decades. It was fun shooting there.
It's beautiful, but a beautiful sequence.
I got to go out in the ocean in a wetsuit, and that which is like prying like 50 pounds of Spam into a 5-pound bag.
In March, so it was real cold, so you needed that wetsuit.
And there was an hour of footage just from the one shot of the shoe that's in the water.
Yeah.
You guys were just out there.
Was.
Operated by Werner Hanline, who is our special effects foreman. He was out there with the shoe on a fishing line, directing it. It was amazing.
He did great. It was great. It was just the ocean does not do what you want it to, which I did not realize until that day. So.
What is that?
This is another Werner special, getting this blood to flow, having to figure out, this was on a table, right, that
Yes.
we set up so that it would flow as if a body's heart was, or
Right.
the blood pressure in a body was making it move. Which took quite a bit of thinking from a bunch of very smart people who got it to go.
Tiny little angle on the
Yeah.
tabletop. And well, this was a heavy scene. We started with this scene in this episode, didn't we? Was this the first day of shooting?
First day of shooting.
Well, and a whole lot happened on that first day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. This was the day.
This was the day when capital letters where
Yeah.
Bob Odenkirk had his cardiac arrest. We had shot 4/5 of the day, probably, maybe 3/4. It was mostly done. We shot all the stuff in this scene, pretty much all of it when you're focused on Bob and Ray. That was the first half, the first 2/3 of that first day. And then we were saving the turnaround for, like this stuff, for instance, was all shot. And then we're going to turn around here. This stuff turned around here is literally 5 or 6 weeks later, because as everyone listening to this probably knows, Bob died right in front of us, and thank God was brought back to life by the administrations of Rosa Estrada and Angie Meyer, our AD, and we're just very lucky he's still with us. But Jesus, you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
you remember.
Yes.
Yes.
Seared into my brain.
Indeed.
Really
And-
terrifying.
And it's a credit to so many parties that you can't tell that we shot so far apart. Bob was made up by, Sherry and Ruth to match exactly the same look. We had, the whole set deck team rearranged the set perfectly, and Chris cut it together in a way that you cannot tell what was before and after. It's so impressive.
I was definitely worried.
Yeah.
I was very concerned that it wasn't going to cut together.
Yeah, I think we all were.
But also a testament to your shot selection, Vince. The fact that you knew the stuff that I have is mostly going to be the Lalo stuff. It's not going to be these tight close-ups of of Bob or Ray. So, and even then, the thanks to the makeup and all of that, it would have matched anyway. And their performances are so great.
So wonderful. And Paul Donachie, whose name just went by, and thanks to his lighting, he and Steve Latecki and the grip crew and the gaffer crew, the electrical crew, and just the beautiful matching job everybody did. All the departments did. Lighting, sound, wardrobe, makeup, hair. Yeah.
Made all look crazier to me, especially for Bob and Ray, about the fact that they had to go away from this scene. We shot a whole bunch of other things. They shot all of episode, or most of episode 509. So they had done, or 609, I should say, and then came back to this. So they'd gone through an entire different sweep of story by the time we were able to come back and finish this scene.
And Bob didn't even remember shooting this scene.
Bob has, to this day, has no memory of this scene. I assume he has a memory of the pickup day 5 or 6 weeks later, but he doesn't remember. This stuff right here, this was pre-heart attack.
Yeah.
This is post-heart attack. You can't, I defy you to tell the difference. I mean, I can't.
Yeah. And Ray and Tony and Patrick, that's really Patrick on the floor there. What a trooper, is spending this entire long scene with his eyes just open.
Yeah, that's an unsung. I'm glad you pointed that out. God bless Patrick. That is, appreciate that very much. We had to stand in for part of it, but every time you see him in there, that's him. Yeah.
Like the stand-ins there now in shots where you don't see the body really.
For the actors.
But when it came down to it, Patrick.
Well, then I think he wimped out. He should have been there for the off camera too.
Yeah, that's true.
Now he wasn't really dead, right?
As far as we know.
Okay.
This is sounding more and more lightweight to me.
Yeah, no, we killed him after reshoots. You gotta save him.
Yeah, that was smart. That was very smart.
Thing.
I think one other person we should shout out, whose name I'm remiss to say I don't know, is our colorist.
Oh,
Keith.
Keith is brilliant. Yes, brilliant. And thank you, Chris, for saying that, because you were exactly right. Keith did a marvelous job. And matching, it's not just matching. It's artistry. But it is matching. That is a big part of it. From shot to shot, the color temperatures change. So part of the job of a colorist is marrying all that stuff together and making it seamless. But also just he's got a real artist eye, a real light touch, and it's just beautiful stuff. And how great is Ray here?
Amazing.
So good.
Unbelievable. I think we talked about this on the podcast too. If you're listening, we also have done a Better Call Saul Insider podcast for every episode of the show that I co-host with Kelly Dixon, and I've completely forgotten what I was going to talk about. What I was going to say.
There you go.
As I start
Just
plugging
pitching
the podcast.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm trying to do. It's a good podcast. Who hosts it?
Co-hosted by yours truly. But we talked about how seeing that before the music went in, the incredible music from Dave Porter,
good point.
I was concerned that that Kim was going to kill somebody, was going to actually break bad fully.
Right.
And once the music got in there, I was, having seen this a million times, I was convinced, she's going to die. This is where she's going to die.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, and all the difference that the music makes. The wonderful Dave Porter score there, which is some actually, and Dave Porter, I'm glad you brought that up. We'll talk about it more as we go, but of all the magnificent music he's done for both TV shows and the movie, some of my very favorite music is in this episode that Dave ever composed.
Yeah. When we got, I remember we all were there, sitting there listening to the music review and just going, "Oh my God, this is great!" Because we've all seen it, we've seen the cuts, we've been working on it for a long time, and it just changed things in the best possible way.
Sure
So
I remember having chills.
Me too. That fun shot with the camera mounted, little teeny camera mounted to the chair, that was Matt Cradle's idea, our A-camera operator. He said, "Hey, wouldn't it be kind of cool?" I said, "Can you do that?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, I like that. I think that's fun.
That's a great shot. And how excited were you guys in the writers' room when you finally figured out how you were gonna, drive that golden spike and figure out why he was yelling Lalo's name in the desert?
This was a great bit. Yeah, talk about that, Peter, because you get more credit than anyone about
I don't know.
the Lalo of it all.
We finally realized that, Lalo had a beef with Jimmy, and Jimmy could blame Nacho, which is kind of where we started. So, but I don't think we didn't structure all of the things that happened before to make that happen, but it sure works. And there's something beautiful about the fact that he's more or less finishing the sentence in Breaking Bad that he starts here on Better Call Saul.
That's perfect.
That's fun.
So as what Peter's talking about, if you haven't caught on, is he's just before the gag goes on. Jimmy here coming up in a half a minute or so is he's saying the exact line he's saying in your first episode.
That's right. This one.
Here it is.
Here it is.
Listen, you got to believe me. Hand to God, I had no part in this. It wasn't me. It was the guy.
to be continued. Breaking Bad, episode 208.
And a whole other TV show
Yes.
shot many years before this.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is where I just I hope people who only are watching Better Call Saul can follow all this. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Because we're asking a lot. I keep saying that we're asking a lot.
They
There's
need to
60.
get off their butts and buy it.
Yeah, there you go. It's available at popular prices.
Yeah. Do not get it on Pirate Bay. Pay full freight, full MSRP. That's digitally added in, huh? That little
Yeah, the volume meter.
Now, how did you guys pick this particular movie to be playing?
Oh man, we watched a bunch of clips from a bunch of different movies that we could afford. I think Vince. I'm pretty sure this was your pitch, right? It's Born Yesterday.
Was it mine? I don't know, but I love this movie, and I love Judy Holliday. She is so, and Broderick Crawford. If you've ever seen, first time I ever saw Broderick Crawford was on the TV show Highway Patrol, where he was just, no offense, he was just kind of phoning it in. He was such a powerful actor. This is before that, and God, what a great movie, William Holden.
I love the contrast here between what's going on in this kind of. It's a funny scene. It's a pure comedy scene. I think, Peter, you had the great idea here in the mix to kind of shred the quality of it, just like push it so that it's starting to distort because he's turned it up so loud.
A digital effect on Patrick's eyes there to make him look filmy and dead. Just amazing, all the tricks that go into this.
Yeah, the attention to detail. Our post team and Rodeo also made the blood pool just slightly grow at the beginning of the scene as the last of Howard's blood is pumping out of him. Very, very subtle. Not something you catch on.
Not in that first shot where it's coming at us, but later. You're right. In some of the wider shots.
In the wider shots, yeah.
And then Al Godo shot some great footage out here of the driving through what they call the Big I in the big interchange of the interstates 40 and 25. Al shot that, and then it was what was that? Digitally put into her driving and like on a soundstage.
Yeah, she was on a blue screen.
I think they had to send that unit out while we were shooting the sequence with Mike that comes later at Kim's place.
Right.
So there's always this
The
coordination of like different people having to do so much work all at the same time to get this done.
All the work that and there was when Jimmy falls over in that chair, that was a stunt man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is, and he did a great job. That is just shows all the little pieces that go into making any episode of TV you've ever seen, whether you liked it or not. But just like that stunt, you could really hurt yourself doing that. And
I thought you made him do it, 10, 20 times?
I'm just
kidding.
I love other people's pain.
No. He did it twice, once for safety and
once just for me. He did a great job.
Oh, this scene breaks me. She has an out. She could go to the police.
Yeah.
And this music, this cue coming up, this cue is just brilliant. Dave Porter. This was a fun shot. There's no passenger seat, no shotgun seat here. Instead, there's a little bit of track and a little mini remote head, and the camera is being operated remotely, and it tracks back to get this. And this is for real. This is not some kind of visual effect shot. That's really in a car. Yeah. Ray really drove to that spot, and then you're looking out at the real house.
So the camera was motorized. Is there anybody in the car with her?
Yeah. Was I in the car? I think I was riding in the back.
We were out with the remote head on the...
No, we were following in a van.
Yeah.
We were following in a van. There
Yeah.
might be a sound recordist in the car, or it might just be her by herself, and we were following in a follow van. Yeah.
We're coming up on a shot that took a lot to do, because this is recreating or echoing a shot from Breaking Bad, and so
That Michelle McLaren did years
Yeah,
ago.
of
with
Walt
Walt
approaching
walking
the
up,
house.
Yeah.
and so I remember Jenn. You could probably speak to this better, because it was Jenn and Jordan was up on the platform, right?
Yep.
exactly,
On the scissor
exactly.
lift, yeah.
On the scissor lift, these poor neighbors as we were moving the scissor lift back and forth, and he found as close to the frame as we could get, and Paul made that epic shadow,
Yeah.
the long stretching shadow. It was. I'm really pleased with how it came out.
Came out great, but I felt bad. It was right before the sun came up. It was 4:15, 4:30 in the morning, and every time you move one of these things, thank you, lawyers, it goes bam, 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 and they move it like an inch an hour, and so this thing's moving. I thought someone was going to come out and shoot us. One of the neighbors.
No.
They were, God bless them.
Oh God. And here we go. This is it for Kim, right?
my God.
That's what
I
the
was-
music's telling me.
So scared. And and the way that this aired originally, it was the mid-season premiere, not as the story wasn't broken that way, but I remember thinking like that. Can you imagine coming back and waiting all this time, and then we just kill Kim in this episode? There's all the story left.
I got talked out of that.
I'm so glad.
I think she's gonna do it. Don't you guys?
I really-
think
I
she's
really-
gonna pull
yeah.
that
No,
trigger.
she's
No,
gonna
she
do
will.
it.
She'll kill him.
Or somebody's
have.
going to kill her.
Yeah.
She'd
or
be
someone
kind of
behind
foolish to go up as
Yeah.
far as she does. Yes.
This was fun. It's just the screen is really reflected in Giancarlo's glasses. How great is Giancarlo? He just does so much by doing. I mean, he's doing a lot, but it looks like he's doing nothing.
It's so
Yeah.
controlled.
But it's so controlled. He's so good.
Stay calm as you take a deep breath, Nothing's going to
And of course, Jonathan's always great.
Yes. I don't know.
Finally, we get the second scene between these two.
Right?
very different in tone.
Yes.
What are you gonna say, Gordon?
I was just gonna say there's a meme online now from this episode of Jonathan Banks explaining to people what to do. That's
It's so great.
It's like a kind of like, okay, here's what you're gonna do: sit down, be calm, and then do blah blah blah, and they all play off of.
All right, so you spill juice. Here's what you're gonna do.
Oh, it's so great.
This is so great. I love his expression there.
Yes.
Our Gus alike.
He's great.
And this is full circle for Gordon. Your first episode was very Mike heavy.
It was.
I know, and now you're
right.
back. You're reading it again
106.
for your final episode.
That episode called 5-0.
Yes.
Good episode.
This
And
is
yet it was season 1.
Season 1.
It makes no sense.
Jeremiah Bitsui. He's on Dark Winds now. It's a good show on AMC.
And here's this crazy set
Yeah, this is a
that
good
Denise built, and Steve Brown, and the brilliant construction crew.
And that all looks like concrete. It's just basically painted wood and like Lanau or wherever that material is.
It's those scenic painters. They just do an amazing
Did a
job.
wonderful job.
What really impressed me this episode, Vince, was how you blocked these scenes with so many actors in it. That you did such a wonderful job always making sure that the composition featured everyone, you see everyone's expressions. It's a huge endeavor.
I did, didn't I?
You did right.
You're very sweet. Thank you. It's my favorite scenes actually are the scenes with fewer people in them.
Yeah.
And it's tricky when you gotta. And sometimes I worry. All joking aside, with some of these scenes, not necessarily any of these, but I've done others in Breaking Bad stuff where I put everybody in a very specific spot, but then I feel like it's probably stunting the acting somehow, and it looks a little too forced. So I worry about that. But you want everybody lined up just so. Yeah.
That's one of the things I feel like people miss when they think that about acting for film. It's like you have that part of the craft is being able to be placed in an awkward position that doesn't feel particularly natural and being natural,
That's a
and then
good point.
making it feel like of course that's where you are, because if
Making the unnatural feel natural.
yeah,
That's-
because they could walk around wherever they wanted,
Yeah.
but then you can't see their faces, or you can't see what they're doing. So
Or not to mention there's a big camera right in their face and a bunch of
that too.
people
And they gotta
staring
pretend
at
it's
them.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
it's a tricky thing, and different actors with different backgrounds have different levels of comfort with that kind of blocking.
Yeah.
And this is our stunt double Jawed, who
Yes.
is a parkour expert
He's
who
a
just
parkour.
jumped right up there.
He was, and he and by the way, I'll bet you Tony is a very athletic gentleman. I bet you he could have done it too, but Joed did a great job. And I said, I mean, he's so cat-like and graceful. I said, don't make it perfect. Don't make it perfect, even though he could have.
And then he stumbled on the next take, and I was like, oh no, he's hurt. And he's just acting.
He was just acting, yeah.
I admire so much those people that have that degree of control with their instrument. Really, it's their whole body, and they can do that, which Al Godo finds incredible, folks, for us to do that.
This was like take 3 or 4, and as always, Giancarlo every time is so in the moment, perfect. But his collar kept sticking up, and by take 3 or 4 here, I was like, collar, because they were perfect every take, except that the damn collar was sticking up funny. So he caught it just as it went out of frame.
Yeah.
Then we use this Loa lens to shoot this.
The Laowa.
Laowa, yeah. It's a really cool lens. It looks like you could stir paint with it. It's like this long, thin stick. It's not even that expensive, but we put it right up close on these monitors.
I love it. You see the pixels.
Yeah, you see the pixels.
It's great.
It's got a
this one here, yeah.
I think it has a fixed aperture, doesn't it? And it's not that fast a lens, so you have to.
I think you're right.
I guess Paul is jacking up the ISO on the camera, probably.
Probably right.
And we could probably do something in post because Chris can do anything.
That's
but
true.
doing this practically gives it a really cool look.
Oh yeah.
I like doing things practically whenever possible instead of saying, we'll digitally animate it later, because that's where all the fun accidents happen, when you do it for real. Although I'm so grateful all the things we can digitally create thanks to Aura and Rodeo, those guys.
It's a tricky thing. I've been thinking about this watching this season, because we now use those digital tools much more than we used to.
Yeah.
But I like to think that we're kind of using them judiciously. That we're because I do think that's such a wonderful look.
Yeah, it's fun.
I love that.
That's a real house, by the way. It was shooting in a real house. And it was really tight, but it was great to shoot in there. And this roof, I shouldn't say this probably, but it felt really dangerous being up there. It was.
We had a limit to how many people could be there. We wouldn't do it safely.
Yeah.
And is that
Eric Steinig, who's a real life. I mean, retired from the Marines, but started off in Breaking Bad as one of our grips, and he's the real thing. He's a former, I believe, Marine recon sniper, and he's a great guy, and is a very good actor. He can do a lot of things.
Coming up is one of my favorite shots in this episode, the Texas swap
Me too.
land.
It's the Texas. It is one of my favorite Texas swaps of all time.
Yeah, talk about that.
Talk about it's great. It's this shot you've got, pulling these guys along, and you've got guys coming in from all sides, all of Mike's guys, and there's going to be a moment coming up where the Mike steps just out of frame, and you're focusing on Tyrus as he cocks the his gun, and then when you keep turning with him, we're following Mike, and it's this is not Jonathan Banks anymore.
I didn't realize it.
That's
how it fooled me.
And
until he starts running like that, he's
doubled. I mean, Doc, to his credit, has watched Jonathan, and he walks like him, and he does a really good job of getting it into his body, not just doing the action. You know what I mean? He does the action as Mike would do the action.
Yes.
So it's a great swap.
These guys were such great sports. We made them do that run, and it was such an amazing endeavor for our production team, all the PAs and Angie Meyer, our first AD, because these guys really were running from that whole parking lot. The choreography was fantastic.
They did a great job. And Jordan Sloven had to walk backward with a handheld camera to go get. We probably did 8 or 9 takes of that shot, because it really was a oneer.
Good job, Jordan.
And he had to run up the stairs with that rig on.
Jordan did a great job, and Jordan is Melissa Bernstein's husband in real life. Yeah, did a great job.
I love this.
And I think, just as all of these guys were so game. This is what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of night shoots that we had to do with all of these guys, and
everybody loves a night shoot.
Everyone loves a night shoot. in this hot,
It was 100 degrees
Damp.
and humid.
It was
in this
miserable.
damp laundry in the
Yeah.
middle of the night.
God, but look how gorgeous it looks.
It looks great. Well, Paul Donahue, always a pleasure to work with Paul. He's so talented, and I love Paul. I wish he could have been on. He would have been on some of these commentaries, except that he is in England, and unfortunately, we're here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Aren't you operating this, the fan, Vince?
Our
feel like
special effects team had a rig on it. They had a couple different ones. They had a rope that they would wind up and then they would let it go and it would spin for a while. But I think for that shot, you were indeed operating
That's right, a little
dial
rheostat,
Fan,
little
yeah.
rheostat,
Yeah,
little electrical.
to make it the
To make it
exact
feel like it's
Yeah.
just the breeze that's
Yeah.
kind of
and
moving.
as usual, it was me saying, this could be better. Let me do it. And then I fuck it up way worse than anyone else before me.
And that was a cool practical blood
Yeah,
splat
big
too.
snaps.
A rig, a chest rig.
Yeah, these stuntmen, these are all stuntmen because, falling down on a concrete floor over and over again, I felt guilty making them do that. They did a great job.
I love these shots. I remember them even in your homework,
Oh,
your
yeah.
director's homework. How specific it was that we're in the orientation that Jimmy is up until Mike stands up.
Oh, I'm glad.
I love that.
This was fun.
Yeah, Bob's so game to just have the gross wet gag in his mouth and look as bad as he
I
can.
kept saying, more spit on the gag, more spit.
It's real spit, right? We had to just have.
Yeah, but he was
crew
very
spit.
dry mouth, so it's crew spit.
Yeah, exactly.
So everyone's kind of, it's
We just pass it around
Team
and just
effort.
make sure that
Yeah.
everybody gives
a
a little
team
bit.
effort.
Where Salamanca went, and I need to know exactly how long he's.
And this is your Jaws shot, Vince. Him
Oh,
popping
yeah,
up
we're-
into the
we're-
shot coming up.
Yeah, where Mike pops up in a frame.
Yeah, I love it because we switched from Jimmy's point of view right here into Mike's. And we're like, oh shit, we gotta go.
We should have had Jonathan chum something just to really sell it.
Boss, you're gonna need a bigger gun. Yeah. I tell you, and Tony Dalton, we haven't talked enough about him. What a brilliant actor. He is so cheery. This character he has created, he is so happy-go-lucky, and yet he's such a fucking psychopath. It's such a disconnect.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he's so good.
Yes. Chris, what is it like for you cutting scenes in Spanish?
I started getting experience in that. I worked on season 3 of Narcos and on Fear the Walking Dead. Also, we had a lot of stuff in Spanish, particularly in the second season. And, it's a little tricky sometimes, especially it's much when you have a native Spanish speaker like Tony, you can rely on what he's saying and the intonation, and you kind of just sort of find the music of the language as opposed to not necessarily knowing the words. But by the time you get done, you kind of understand what is being said.
Yes.
Sort of like Shakespeare, if you don't understand the language and the poetry of it, you can have it. You can understand what is actually being said.
Claudia Azurmendi was probably a big help, too.
She was a
Very much so.
huge help.
God bless Claudia.
Our translator.
Used to be in the prop department and then
Yes.
came to work with us in the writer's office.
And then wound up working with us in editorial.
Yes. So I got to say before it goes away, this giant machine that Gustavo Fring is standing in front of is made out of wood, and it's painted. It's a
facade.
It's a facade. The real machine we used on Breaking Bad got taken away years ago, so it needed a match. So the amazing art department and the amazing construction department built this thing that looks absolutely real. It's astounding.
Yeah, Denise and Dins just poured over all of the footage we already had and old photos, and they got even the scratches right.
It's astounding.
fantastic.
So there is a real machine there underneath it, luckily a smaller machine, and they put this fake machine over top of it. Now that's the real machine next to it, because the fake one they built didn't actually move. So now we've cheated. We've framed out the fake machine, and that's the real machine next to it. So all the magic of the movies. And how great is Giancarlo?
He's so good.
He is so. I love the thing he did that's already gone past, where he stands up and he gets a little speck of lint off his shirt.
And
He's
this
so
was your
angry.
shout out to Breaking Bad too, the going behind and underneath the washing machine.
Where they're pretending, they're miming going down into a hidden passage that doesn't really exist.
There wasn't a secret lab there?
Just as every uncle has done behind the couch.
Yes.
The same, and it works great.
I feel like I learned that from Mike Myers.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
Like the
Wayne's World.
escalator,
Yeah,
the
the
elevator.
Yeah. And this shot here, operated by Tony Dalton. This is the real.
Wait,
so
is he in the union?
Maybe we shouldn't be saying this. The union might get mad.
No, we've said
mean,
he'd operated
yeah.
the shot. He did a great job.
And-
Paul gave him tips.
That's also Giancarlo taking that kick and fall.
Yeah.
I assumed it was another Texas swap
No,
until he gets up at the end of the take. I'm like, whoa,
he loved
really
it.
did that.
and he would keep putting more dirt on him in between takes. He
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, I want to get dirty. This is great."
God bless these guys. Yeah.
Sin molestar a la lavandería de arriba, en medio de una ciudad.
And of course, back to our production design team, they had to put this whole set, which has not been up for many years. They had to put this whole super lab back up.
Right.
And that's a huge set that takes up
it's
a lot of
gigantic.
space.
It's an
really
enormous
impressive.
set.
Well,
and
and-
they had to make it look exactly as it had in the past.
Well,
At the end of season 4, I guess is the last time we saw it.
And by the end of this episode, we had to do one additional thing to it
We did.
that was a little different.
Which we can, talk about then, I guess.
And it was nasty. It's an amazing set. It was nasty shooting in here because that's real dirt, obviously, and you get home at the end of 12 hours in there, and you've got like 5 pounds of dirt in your nose.
Yeah. Or stuck in your mask.
Yeah, your mask
everywhere.
was here.
Full mask.
I found it everywhere.
Yes,
Yeah, no, for sure.
every crevice.
I mean, everywhere.
Gord, what I love about this scene that I've heard you talk about before is that it's a sort of homage to something we saw Nacho do in your other episode, 603. It's that Gus learned from Nacho that if you start ranting and start insulting the Salamancas, they can't help but listen and get angrier and angrier.
I do feel like the Lalo has good reason for getting as much
Damning
insulting stuff on tape, because that's, of course, when he shows that tape to Don Eladio, it's going to clear him. He's going to clear the way for what he's already done, which is to kill Frey.
Yeah.
What I like is that in Gordon has this thing in his episodes. Somebody's always at gunpoint, telling people what for, what for.
2 episodes.
But in the previous one, though, he got it, and this one it goes a little differently.
Write what you know.
That's right.
Gordon did a wonderful job, as
really,
always, writing this
really.
episode. It's a great script.
It's also it's a really different kind of episode, because it's almost, as Gordon says in the script, it's almost all a continuous period of time.
It's
most of the action takes place in an hour or so.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is like one bad night.
Yeah.
It's just one really long bad night.
Yeah.
Kept him broken. I was saving to the last.
And Giancarlo is not a Spanish speaker. Did a wonderful job with that. That must have been, I can't imagine how nervous making that would be. All those lines of dialogue in a language not, that you're not fluent in, and just having to learn all this stuff phonetically. You did a great job.
Yeah, he worked really closely with our on-set translator, Jocelyn, who is our Spanish advisor. And he was so game.
You could talk for an hour about this shot.
This was fun. This is really lit. This is what you see is what you get. That was a shootout lit by blanks. There was a little bit of what Peter calls, which I love, a great expression, customer light. There was a little bit of light in the room, but not really enough to expose the footage on its own. But those flashes are the real blanks, and we did a lot of testing.
Yeah.
And those are stuntmen. Those are two stuntmen. Those are not our actors because blanks are, they're dangerous as we know. But you can. Filmmaking is inherently dangerous, but if you have a really good crew and everyone's very safe as they can be, and they communicate with each other and they take all the proper precautions, it is doable because there's a lot of dangerous things in filmmaking. I was very proud of that scene.
This is phenomenal.
It's gorgeous.
The inspiration of having him turn on the lights on the excavator at this point is I just think adds something to this. It's just remarkable.
And I love these messed up funeral bells.
Yeah, the music's great.
It's so good.
Dave's music.
But what an interesting scene is that the meat of the scene is all before and after the gunshots. The gunshots are just almost a transition.
Yeah. We could have milked him out, could have made it into a big shootout with 20 different angles, but it felt better if it was shocking and then over before you even knew it.
Yeah, and you were very conscious of how many bullets you had, too.
Oh, that's the proper number. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this, what a death scene. This guy, his amazing smile all the way to the end.
That's not an ugly death.
Last ugly breath.
It wasn't an ugly death. In the script, Tony has been giving me shit for like a year and a half now. But it said, and he takes one last ugly breath because I was describing the gurgling of the blood and so forth, which to me seems like ugly. But
Tony Dalton
took
has
it as
never
a
done an
description
ugly
of,
thing in his
I know,
life.
Exactly.
It's beautiful.
That's funny.
It's so great. What
Also,
a great reveal
he takes
here.
his last handsome breath. Just feels weird.
This is great. There's a little sponge with fake blood on it. And that's a magnet holding that thing that our prop guys figured out, this magnet that would hold that slug in place.
Sometimes a lot of this, it feels like we just are giving them little puzzles. Like, all right, we need this bullet. It needs to stick here, and then it needs to come off, and it needs to look like difficult. Magnets. Oh, okay, great. And then they're all ingenious, and they come up with these clever.
Because a lead slug is not ferrous.
Yeah.
Whereas it won't stick to a magnet, so they had to stick a little piece of steel in there or whatever. Yeah. And then
and the sponge with the blood and all of those things. It's like, how do you do this?
Oh, man.
This
The real meat.
this episode is such a heavy episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's interesting. We watched this in New York with an audience, and there were two places where there were real laughs. One was when Jimmy starts talking Lalo into sending Kim, where people thought that. But this,
Harrison Thomas.
was Harrison Thomas. His singing it was such a release for the audience.
Yeah.
And Harrison, this
And
was
he's a trained
exciting.
singer. He's great.
Exciting for some of us. He's been on the show for years. We did not realize that his father is Dave Thomas from SCTV.
I feel so stupid. We were here this night. Yeah, exactly.
And
keep going.
And Dave, we're huge. If you don't know what SCTV is, you owe it to yourself to watch.
Do yourself a favor.
Dave Thomas is a hilariously funny guy who also is has been a movie actor and a writer and a director, and we had his son on, and so it's the perfect thing because we didn't cast him because of who his father
we did
is.
not. He got the job because he's great. But as soon as we were on the set this night, and he talked about his dad, he and his dad were writing something. I said, "Oh, is your dad in the business?" And he looked kind of. He said, "Well, yeah, he was on a show called SCTV." I said. And the minute he said it, I realized he looks exactly like his dad. How did I not put two and two together?
It's remarkable.
And his dad is one of the funniest guys alive.
That's true.
And Harrison is a chip off the old block. Very talented young man.
Yeah, I think I've said this of him before, but it's such a hard job to be in kind of a recurring role where you don't know really all of the things that are going on in the story, but you come in and you have to kind of get in there and get into it and do your job. And he's always game. Last in season 5, he'd just been in like a car accident and was really in a lot of pain when he was supposed to be scrubbing out the fryers and stuff.
No.
And he like a few months prior, and he did all this work, and was a trooper about it.
Oh man, Harrison.
Harrison. Yay, Harrison.
Hey, Harrison.
I really think you could spin off Lyle as a show. Which is, I would be fascinated to see his reaction when he realizes his boss is the biggest drug kingpin in the history of America.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That feels like a webisode. It would be a good webisode. Just that. You just play him watching the TV, getting the news, the Gus Fring.
But then he says, I guess now I'm the boss.
Where's he going to go? He's going to have to work at Arby's.
These two guys, I love these two guys.
Yeah.
They're so much fun.
Ah, yes, full circle with Jonathan, as you say, Jen. The good thing is I have exactly the same amount of respect for Jonathan in this episode as I did working with him the first time. It's the same level of
From
respect
him.
from Jonathan.
Oh, Jonathan, yes.
Yeah.
Well, little prince.
With Jonathan, you have to.
Okay.
The big thing is he going to punch you in your heart or your throat? Because I think he likes you better if he's going to punch you in the throat.
Howard Ferguson Jr. is a good guy who plays Arthur.
great.
I like Howard here. He's the guy unloading the fridge here.
Do you think he has a family? I think Arthur.
The henchman?
Concerned about his dental plan.
I want to know about the benefits. I want to know what is payroll for Gus's guys?
Yeah.
How much do they actually make?
That's this is Peter. This is my question.
I think they're paid well.
I think so too.
So,
Gordon has been
what are
dodging
they-
this question for months.
What's on their payroll? What do they put on their
love
I-9?
this lens.
Oh, it's so
What is this?
beautiful.
This is
150?
it's a 135. It's a
135.
135. It makes everything look old timey and beautiful. I love how you can have the eyes in focus and the ears are not when you're wide open.
Man, what a performance from these two.
Yeah,
Devastating.
It's just so great.
And it's so great. I remember in the editing room, Chris, you fought to keep that breath she takes in there.
And
This
Chris,
was all stuff we shot after we came back, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It was.
Yeah,
It sure
And
was.
the stuff with Lalo when he has him tied up in the chair. That
Yeah,
all
right,
came
that
out.
was
all-
Oh, that was
in
all.
the second part of the shoot.
That was all post cardiac arrest. That's right.
Arthur.
And Chris, beautiful job editing this thing, man. You just
thanks.
you're a pro. And this was. I did 3 episodes this season. The first one was edited by Skip, and obviously I love Skip to death. Skip Skip. I want to work with Skip for the rest of my life. But I'd never had you edit an episode, and you edited this one. Mm-hmm. You and I had not worked together.
Correct.
And so you
As an editor,
as an editor.
when I was working with Kelly.
Well, of course,
Right.
And you edited this episode, and then you edited episode 12, my last episode, and you were such a pleasure to work with. You were like telepathic. It was like you knew exactly. It was a real pleasure working with you on both these episodes.
That means a lot. And the
That's
feeling
the
is extremely mutual.
I was told that was because you had in your contract that you were never going to work with me, and so you had to relax that for this episode. So.
I can't comment on that. That's a legal issue at
Right.
that point.
Oh, man, look at this beautiful morning light that Paul and Steve Latecki put together. It's gorgeous.
Not a real place.
Yeah, soundstage. Yeah.
I got to go to the set this year, which was really well, and so did Mike Behrmantraut,
Yes.
our erstwhile office stuffed bear.
Nice.
He's an editorial assistant,
Yes.
officially.
Someone would be happy to know they paid for his airfare. Separate first class ticket.
The courthouse mentions it. The moment that happens, you.
He is so world weary. He's so great, Jonathan. I mean, all 3 of these guys. It's like a master class every time these guys are together or separate.
I love how he judges them and doesn't judge them.
Yeah. There's a little thing he does at the very end. He makes this. I can't even do it. He makes this little click with his little something lip smack kind of thing we used to. Other shows I've been on, we used to cut out. We've cut out all the lip smacks.
Yeah.
And I love this lip smack he does at the very end because it's that what you just talked about, Peter. It's like the judgment of
Tells me she has reported.
you're reaping what you sowed here.
But he still knows he's in no position to judge it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that too.
It's just a
fine-
perfect. He just treads that beautiful line, and that's what's so great about this character. And of course, the next episode we get deeper into that.
Yeah.
I love also that it's so subtle what Bob and Ray are doing when he says, that's the story you guys had going for him. you can see the weight of that just bear down on them.
Yeah.
So subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit, I think, even from Kim here, or from Ray, of just, oh, good, I lived. Oh, God.
Yeah.
You know, just, what now?
Now what? Yeah.
This is like the worst ending of The Graduate.
Yeah.
Great, we did it. Yay.
Good point.
Understand?
You know, it's a good lesson to want to be actors. Folks who want to be actors, folks who want to do that for a living. If you're these people, they trust these actors. I mean, look at Ray here. She trusts that you can read her mind.
Mm-hmm.
She is not expressing things for the sake of expressing them. She's just thinking thoughts, and they beam through into the camera sensor. It's like magic.
She's remarkable, and it's a remarkable group.
What was that little lip smack? Yeah. And they all are, aren't they?
Sometimes,
they just pros.
Yeah. Oh, now is that really Patrick?
No, that was a young man who was very, very sweet.
I'm thinking less and less of Patrick as we go on.
And Ray here was really operating this thing. I mean, not for every shot, but for that shot.
Yeah.
And he did a good job.
Yeah.
He learned how to do it for the...
Sorry, here's what Chris was talking about, I think, earlier, which is that we had to dig a hole in the soundstage floor.
Oh, my God.
That was a big
We could do a whole podcast about that.
It was a big deal. But originally, when we were looking at it in scouting, we were trying to figure out, because it was like, oh, maybe we can't do that. And so we were looking at a digital solution that I think everybody involved, especially Vince, was looking at it going, this will cost us so much more time and money than you think, because just managing the complexity of marrying all of these spaces together.
The idea was to rebuild the floor in another location.
It would have been such a
nightmare.
Because, and just to say it, part of the reason is you can't just dig a hole in a soundstage,
right?
But it has to be reinforced. It has to be safe.
Yeah.
It can't. It has to be completely safe.
Had higher structural engineers.
It has to be engineered properly. And in this case, it's a hole that we're putting into a soundstage that's owned by our good friends at Netflix.
Yes.
And they want to continue using the soundstage
without the hole.
And so it was a big deal.
Yeah. But thankfully they said yes. And that unceremonious the body being thrown in, that was Jawed again. These guys.
So the stunt artist got thrown,
flung in
just
there
for that one shot.
onto obviously hidden pads.
Here's that great Dave Porter score again.
Great.
And Patrick and Tony. I mean, again, it's acting. It's just how hard could it be to play dead? Well, actually, it could be pretty hard.
It's really hard.
And they're so good playing dead there, And there's some help throughout. People have to breathe, so every now and then there's digital fixes where their chests were moving up and down. You could see their pulse or whatever. All that stuff got digitally frozen.
But I don't think here. I think in that shot, I think they were just holding their breath.
And that was just it's such an amazing moment.
And such sadness. And
is that your 135 again?
It might be. I don't remember. It might well be. Yeah. I had a lot of. I mean, this is the hardest. I mean, I don't even know this episode with what happened to Bob in the middle of it. We were, Jesus, what an awful day that was. We were so thankful and grateful when we realized he'd live. Mm-hmm. But then we thought, I guess the show's over. I couldn't. I just feel like I won the lottery 10 times over with Bob.
Yeah,
with everything turning out the way it did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We thought the show was over with this episode.
It's just, and it didn't seem that important, strangely enough.
Of course.
I mean, we weren't even thinking about that, but yeah.
Just going back to the episode, it's such a moving, upsetting hour of television. It reminds me that when we started, we were thinking, it's going to be kind of a comedy. It's so much funnier than Breaking Bad was.
A million laughs.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, guys.
You bet.